Start. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the monthly SEAP book event. Quite a gathering. Sure. So the topic or the book that's being shared by me as Amit Rawat this Saturday morning is Social Media Simplified by Vijendra Hariyar and Anandan Pillai. Both of them being IIM graduates. They were studying or they were associated at IIM and then ventured out into their own streams. And one fine day, when this particular social networking platform was available, one of them sent a Facebook request to the others, and that's how it started. And during the course of time, Vijendra Hariyal, he has a site of his own dedicated to social media development, and he came up with the idea of this particular book, and Anandan was quite happy to assist. So it's not only Twitter or Facebook that social media contains. You have a lot of other things and a lot of other avenues that can be explored through the social media. So what I've tried to do is capture most of the points of this book, and let's go point by point into this book. The points would be what is social media, demystifying Twitter and Facebook, how social media is changing lives, how do you frame a social media strategy, important part of business plan, ROI, what is the utility beyond business through the social media platform, influence and opportunities, what kind of job avenues are open, and a case study. When you talk of media, what comes to your mind instantly? Television. The first kind of media we were exposed to was probably newspaper and radio, audio kind of stuff, monotonous. And in the course of time, the print media evolved into an advertising avenue as well for the companies. And in the last couple of decades, we have seen a growth, not only in the ad section, but also what we term as page 3. Lot of stuff where B2B and B2C companies are trying to roll out their programs, marketing campaigns through the social media platform. And I guess in the last 5 years, we have seen a quantum leap in the kind of audience the social media networking platforms have managed to get for the companies. Social media, which was the first social media platform you had ever been to? Orkut. Any names for the founders of Orkut? Actually, there is none, because it was like more or less a group within Google who started this, and surprisingly, they never followed it up or let it evolve to the next level. So then we had players like Facebook and all coming in, and they had their own ideas about how to present information, how to share information, and how to get people on board. Quite some definitions out here, quite some statements out here. Basically gathering the information, sharing the information, and one important point, forming opinions and changing society's attitude towards the entity. That is, you can see the influence right now, nowadays, maybe in the last year or so. A lot of topics being raked up on social networking platforms. You can say corruption issues, political issues, issues related to business, people forming their own groups, on social networking platforms. What people do is create a group, include people in the group, and then people also need to express themselves. They form an opinion and try to forward that to the authorities concerned. So that somehow forces the authorities to have a realistic look at their policies. Like I said, initial phase of internet static. Nowadays, if you go to a web developer and ask him, the first question he would say, you want me to develop a website for you, fine. Is it going to be a static website or a dynamic website? You say, okay, what's that? He continues with his jargon of, technical jargon of dynamic web pages, static web pages. Static is just giving out information. Dynamic would be you or your audience would be posting something, and that is again related back to your admin. So that's a two-way communication. You have something like pictures, videos moving around in sequences. That is dynamic. Usually the first websites that came in, you even had a small counter wherein the number of hits would determine the value of that website. And you would create certain advertising or certain jazzy pages or a cute design just to attract people and increase the number of hits on your site. And that would be probably a selling point to a venture capitalist or an advertisement campaign. Like companies who wanted to advertise on your site, you would show, okay, these many number of hits in a day or a month or a year. And that would be your selling point for ad collection. Presently, I don't think there are many sites who actually maintain a counter, and not many sites who actually have all static pages. You would be having an introduction, a rollout of the services, products, a client list, testimonials, feedback, contact us information. So they want the audience to get involved. Seeing information, exploring information, reacting to the information, giving your feedback, that is what the end user wants nowadays. Social media platform, connecting people, connecting groups, and having them to give their feedback, opinions, which matter. Collecting that information and forwarding again to relevant people, to stakeholders, the people who are advertising on your site or your own company or your own department heads who need the information, the feedback from the customers. This particular point makes sense. The common man can now express, share, and have a feedback regarding his views. So what we term as the Aam Aadmi now has become the Khas Aadmi. He can express himself, of course with some particular moderations by the moderator or the admin of the site. And he also feels involved in the process. Various forms of sharing information: voice, document, picture, video. Social networking. I think all would be having a Facebook or a Twitter account, at least. Some people are hesitant to open up their accounts on Twitter and post something. We'll try to go into what can be done, what cannot be done. I find that information useful in this particular book. There is definitely some kind of definitions, some statements, and some do's and don'ts which the authors propose, and I think that is quite useful. Of course, almost everybody offers, I don't know a person who doesn't have an LinkedIn account, so that's professional. Some companies for maybe some confidential or other reasons, do not maintain a LinkedIn account. Maybe it's a company policy, maybe it's their own decision. But I know some persons in top places who do not have a LinkedIn account. Video sharing, we would be putting this on YouTube. You must have browsed through MetaCafe. Anyone? Information, new information. MetaCafe again is a similar to YouTube. It has got all the videos with certain permissions in case of various categories of videos. So again, MetaCafe is one video sharing account. Twitter. Anybody heard of him? Not as famous as Mark Zuckerberg, but definitely an important person. He is the one who came up with Twitter. Again, a research fellow working in Silicon Valley, and then one fine day he opens up his venture and thinks of this idea. Idea is more important than anything else. The money comes in eventually. Have you posted anything on Twitter? Do you use it professionally for your organizations or for yourself? A little bit of hesitancy, but I don't think that's so harmful. You can use it properly with the usual care taken about posting, what to post, how to post. Should have about 900 million registered profiles by the end of 2012 with about 250 million active users. That's a lot. I would say Twitter is faster in update than even Facebook. Facebook, you probably log in once a day or maybe a couple of days, but then there are people from the social networking background, there are normal people who log into Twitter just to express themselves, or there are people working in companies who log on to their company Twitter account and post things. Updates are much faster on Twitter. I found this useful. Anything, the same kind of guidelines you would be putting in on a profile for Facebook or LinkedIn, an authentic bio, following relevant people, acknowledging every source, using appropriate hashtags. If somebody is using Twitter, there is a hashtag, a topic which is trending today. They have separate monitoring things for India, for international markets, what is trending where. Common examples, any kind of event happening, for example IPL, the Olympics coming around, they would be preparing the word and preceding that with a hashtag. And if you want to comment with that hashtag and the word, you put your comment in and it gets registered in the list of comments for that topic. So at the end of the day, if there are 3,000 posts for that particular event or that trend, yours would be the one along with them. Makes sense if you, then people also get to know when they look out for their posts, they also have a look at your posts. So again, if they find that relevant and if they kind of troll on your Twitter account and see the kind of postings you've done, they find useful, they start following you. Direct message utility. For those who are using Twitter, there's a direct message which we abbreviate as DM. But this is done only when there is a bi-directional follow. You follow somebody and the other person follows you, only then a direct message is possible, just like an email. Don'ts. Don't automate, don't tweet unnecessarily, don't retweet unnecessarily. Don't tweet personal messages on a professional account. You would be following somebody who is a CEO or a manager or any other higher rank person or lower rank person. He could be professionally connected to you only, as well as he could be your friend or acquaintance. But the language that you use to greet him on Twitter should be formal, because when you post, say hi buddy, there are 250 million users following your tweet. Not following exactly, but watching your tweet being posted. The guys who are following him and the people who are following you can see that tweet. So you can probably message him, hi buddy, but then that kind of language may not be sort of entertained by him on a public platform. So again, a little careful about what kind of language you use or the formal, informal tone of your tweet. Don't get involved in unnecessary arguments. Common mistake on a public platform. Any examples you can think of? People getting engaged in arguments on a public platform. We see that regularly on television, through news debates, political topics, religious topics. Again, topics related to IPL, where a single tweet from somebody opens up a can of worms and then an investigation starts and it opens a Pandora's box. Whistleblower tweeting on Twitter. Authorities trying to following up. A lot of controversies following. A lot of things can happen if you... I mean, it's on record. Twitter is officially taken as a proof in the Western world, as something you stated, and that can be used for you and against you. Don't urge people to follow you. You don't have to tweet to everybody, message everybody just to follow you. Ultimately, there's a facility called as blocking. Ultimately, the person could block you and your events might not be on his timeline, as we see. The list of postings that you have is called the timeline. If the person blocks you, your messages are no longer relevant on his timeline. They don't appear on his timeline. Don't delete your tweet. Makes sense because of the fact you have put some thought into your tweet.